The tax story that we know about thus far, can it change the US economy?
So it probably will not move potential GDP growth at all, really.
Okay.
So we would need to see huge, incentives for investment, really, to fundamentally boost potential GDP. I don't see anything in there that will do that. So we might get a bit of a sugar hit, depending on what the final tax plan looks like. And it won't look like what it looks like now, for sure.
Absolutely.
But we'll get some stimulus. If you ask most economists if they could look at that Q3 GDP print we got out last week, if they thought that this was an economy that desperately needed a fiscal stimulus.
I was going to say, does the US economy need a sugar hit right now?
Yeah, most economists would say absolutely not. That being said, the Fed is hoping to pull back on their accommodation, and their desire is for the government to step in and fill that gap a bit. So depending on how quickly the Fed wants to pull that back, it could be useful to have a fiscal stimulus, but it would be useful to have a fiscal stimulus that boosted the supply side and fundamentally moved the dial on potential GDP, and I don't see that with these tax cuts.
What does it do? What does it do to the longer term? If I'm a deficit hawk and I'm sitting here worrying about what's going to happen, again, does it move the dial in any meaningful way? Is this something that they can just can they get on board with this because it's actually not going to change the deficit story that significantly?
So they can and probably have gotten on board with this. So if this costs $1.5 trillion, which we wouldn't have expected the Republicans to sign up to previously, they have now. Yeah, that's not great for our deficit. It's not great for our debt burden, but the U.S. does enjoy, holding the global reserve currency or using the global reserve currency and having the most liquid, the most liquid, deepest asset class treasuries in the world. So we have more leeway than most other countries on that front.